Alright, hello, and today we're talking about how to practice bass quietly. What a shame. It's just almost oxymoron. Who wants to practice bass quietly? What's the point? You got that bass, you want that bass rumbling and carrying on and creating havoc. But no, sometimes you have to. If you're in the house, you don't want the kids waking up, you don't want to wake mom or dad up, whoever it is. You just got to practice quietly. If it's 2 in the morning, you got to practice quietly. So I've got a few tips here that'll help you practice quietly and will also improve your practicing, it's just as if you were practicing with an amp at normal volume. Okay, so if you don't know me by now, I'm Donald Witt, the bass instructor of the How to Play Bass online course at iwannaPlayBass.com. Links down below. Jump over there, subscribe, get your free ebook on setting your bass up, and become a member for free. Alright, and this is I Want to Play Bass, your YouTube channel for bass guitar tips, bass guitar advice, bass guitar gear reviews, and stuff like that. So subscribe, hit that bell notification, get in the loop, and don't miss a beat. So we're talking about today how to practice bass quietly. Like I said, it's absurd, but we got to do it. Sometimes we got to do it. If we want to play this thing, we got to practice in times that are not always allowed to be blasting the, you've got to be considerate of other people. So that's what you do. So I've got a couple tips. Now, one of them is if you have any kind of digital audio workstation, you can plug right into that, run it through your computer, and just listen through your headphones. Just be careful. You don't want to be putting a bunch of effects on it because you're not getting the same effect as playing it without. So unless you're going to use those effects when you're playing live and playing out, then that's fine. But just, don't put a bunch of effects in it. Just keep it dry as possible so you can get the full effect of how these tones are going to sound when you are live. Because that's one thing about practicing. If you practice without an amp, that's fine. Sometimes I do it a lot of times just so I can hear the fret noises and stuff like that I don't want to hear constantly, so I can kind of fine tune those noises and tighten those down to where they're a minimum. But then when you go plug up to an amp, you almost get a little apprehensive about hitting those notes or something like that. So you just you want to practice, you want to be able to hear yourself as well, but it doesn't hurt. Practice so often without an amp just to get all those fret noises and just to get a dialed in tone, the perfect tone you can get, plucking hand, fret hand, timing together, everything you can. You just want it to be dialed in. So do that every now and then, and that will work on your tone as well. But like I say, once you plug up to an amp, you'll feel like you're holding back a little bit, because when you're playing without an amp, you're really working to get that sound, and then when you plug up, you don't have to work as hard to get that sound. So sometimes you can feel like you're overworking it when you don't need to. So be careful with that also. So one tip is through the digital audio workstation, through your headphones. If you have a headphone jack on your amp, do that. That's perfectly fine. I know most of them do have that, but not all of them do. If you don't have that, then you're going to have to step down to another idea. What I've done in the past, I still do it early mornings. I'm practicing. I still do this. What I take is a 1/4-inch adapter jack. This right here. This is an adapter jack. It will receive the input jack right there. Your iPhone headphones, or if any headphones you have that has this, I'm pretty sure it's 1/8 of an inch male in right here. That will simply fit into here. You take this and you just plug it up to there, and then you take this. Since I'm running live, I'm not going to unplug my amp, but you can take this, plug it into your input, and then you can hear pretty good. Even with the active pickups, even with those off, I can still hear it pretty good. And the good thing about the iPhone headphones is you've got a volume knob on there as well, so you can kind of kick it up a little bit, and you hear pretty good with that right there. And that's all it is. You're not plugging up nothing. Nothing in the wall. Nope, you're not using any electricity. There's no amp involved. You just simply plug this up. I think it'll work with any headphones. Plug it in there. I've only used my iPhone headphones, but plug it in there and just put them in, and you can hear it perfectly fine. One thing I've noticed people do when they're playing with headphones is they'll run the wire right over their strings. I've seen it. Trust me, I've seen it. So, don't do that. Don't do that. Leave it, put it behind the neck and put them in. Don't put it out in front of the strings. You don't want you don't want those strings dangling all over your, you don't want the wires hanging over the strings. It's just, it's silly. So you'll figure it out. If you do that, you'll eventually find out, hey, I need to move these. But, you know, just a little heads up, you know, you can prevent wasting that couple seconds of your life. So just put it around the neck, put it behind the neck, and get it done. So that's a good way to practice that, where you don't have to practice without an amp. You can really dial in your tone that way. But like I say, without those headphones in, practice so you're not, you know, you can still, with the headphones in, you're not hearing as much of the fret noise outside of that. So, you know, most of the time your fret noise isn't carried through your signal anyway. You're not going to hear a lot of it, but you just want to dial it in. Just make sure every note is as good as it could possibly be. Okay, so that is another tip that I found pretty cool. I've been doing for quite a while now, that that's very beneficial. I almost practice, you know, very rarely, unless we're playing out, I plug those bad boys up. All right, so there's some tips for practicing bass quietly. As much of an oxymoron as that might sound like, it is something that is definitely a big deal and something that has to be dealt with. And there's just some ways to help you make that happen, and not, you can, you know, like I said, be considerate of the family, not wrecking the house, or, you know, or be considerate of your neighbors. If you're in an apartment, you got people beneath you and above you, you know, just be, especially bass. You can hear this 15 doors down. I've been in that situation, and it's it sucks. So, you know, this way you don't need any of that mess. Just plug it up, work through your workstation, your amp if it has an input, and, you know, or plug it right into your bass right here, right in the input jack, go right into your headphones, and then you can practice all night long. Okay, so I hope you got some value out of that. If you did, help me help you. Hit that like button, and I will catch you all on the flip-flop in the next video. Oh, by the way, check out this video on some easy blues bass lines to learn. These bass lines will help tighten you up with your band and everybody else. So learn those blues bass lines, practice them with your band, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up, and then go out and gig and make some money. Okay, thank you all. I'll catch you all on the flip-flop. Bye now.